Chapter 32 Day 1 I walked with a cold and deadly stride as I entered the Dead World Circus. The chill of the morning air rattled my bones as my footsteps filled the empty world with the slight sound of my boots against the hard dirt. Rachel leaned against the ticket booth with a lazy expression. I guess Ian got my message. The girl took notice of me, jumping to her feet with haste. She held out a small controller with a large red button, ready for her to fire whatever trap she had created. Did I really scare him that stiff? Well, I am the game maker, aren't I? That's gonna take some getting used to. Then again, right after I kill Ian, the only thing I'm gonna have to get used to is the feeling of the nose against my head. I rose my hands, with the gun still in its holster, but the fake phone in my right hand at eye level. I continued walking until she commanded me to stop, only a few feet away from her and the gate. "Who are you?" she commanded, holding the switch with shaking hands. I didn't answer. The real game maker didn't talk, so why should I? I lowered my right hand, holding the cell phone with the back up to show her my fake name. Rachel narrowed her brow. She walked closer to me, just enough room for her to see the name, but not close enough for her to reach it. I wondered, if this phone is destroyed, if I die too. I'm not willing to find out, so I'll keep her at a distance. I took the phone back, typing quickly with both thumbs. Take me to the killer, and you can live. Send. Rachel's phone vibrated, making her jump in surprise. She quickly opened her cell, reading my message with a horror. She realized that I was indeed the real killer, which I may not really be. But then again, I'm probably the only player who has killed someone in real life, that I know of at least. I put my phone into my pocket, motioning my hand for her to lead me. She yelped, nodding in a yes. But first, who are you? Rachel choked. I lifted my finger to where my lips were, hidden behind the gas mask. I tilted my head, over to the left. She swallowed shallowly, moving through the gate with me close behind. We walked through the carnival, which seemed demonic in a sense, empty and dead, filled with the imaginary security of those who don't even know they're being watched. Rachel led me to a place I recognized with an unsettling thought. The control room. I remember the bed. I guess it was Ian's after all. Rachel stopped before reaching the door. She backed away with a silent fear as I approached the doorway. I guess that Ian would probably kill her if he found out she let me in. I turned to Rachel and waved my hand, motioning her to leave. She gladly accepted and ran off with haste. A long sigh escaped my lips as I pushed against the old door to reveal the scene set in the small room. Ian stood with shock in front of Alice and Eve, who'd been tied back to back on the floor. Blood fell from Eve's lips, which stained the front of her t-shirt in a sickly appearance. Alice huffed, as her breath seemed heavy and weak. Both eyes seemed nearly dead. Ian turned his body toward me, his wooden bat gripped tightly in hand, ready to strike at any moment. I pulled the gun from my side, but I didn't point it at him. Just to let him know that I have it. I don't want Eve and Alice to see me commit my sin. "So, you're the game maker," he hissed. I nodded, pointing towards the two girls. Terror filled Eve's face, but not Alice's. No, Alice only seemed confused, as if something about me seemed off. Does she know it's me? No, that's impossible. The only part of my body showing is my right eye. You can't tell who a person is from one eye. I'll admit, I thought you'd be taller, Ian smirked. Is he really making a joke of this? Besides, I'm average height. I bent my finger at the two, showing that I wanted them to come with me. I ignored Ian's comment to the best of my abilities. Is that what you meant by bounty? Sure, do whatever you want. I mean, this is your game. But I have to ask. Why not just let me kill them? He asked with a smug tone. I mean, are you even who you say you are? The game makers never left me a message before without a well done, and suddenly you just show up? It seems off, right? I pulled my cell phone out of my pocket, showing my fake name. You could have done that with a knife. How do I know you're not just Hal trying to save your pathetic excuse of a team? Ian concluded. I didn't think he'd be able to see through me so clearly. But then again, his whole conclusion is based off a hunch and not even evidence. Is he really so skeptical? I don't even have the same eye color as Hal, for Christ's sake. There has to be something I can do to prove to Ian that I am who I say I am. An idea came to mind. Hal never wears a shirt, or at least when he does, it's short-sleeved. I narrowed my eyes into a deadly glare. I put away the phone and gun back into their pockets. I rolled up the sleeve of my left arm. I pulled off the glove in a slow and cold way that made the hair stand up on Ian's skin, whether he noticed I saw or not. The letters spelled out my truth, written in dried red and sharp letters that we've all come to know. Ian turned whiter than his hair from the sight. I put the glove back on, pulling down the sleeve after proving who I was. I then pulled out the black gun that most clearly resembled his. This time, I pointed it at Ian. I used my other hand to point Alice and Eve, again, who appeared opposite. Eve seemed terrified. I mean, that's what I expect, but Alice, she seemed annoyed more than anything, as if this entire argument was pointless. Fine, Ian spat. I believe you, so take them. Less work for me. He crossed his arms, much like a child who just lost. I nodded, walking over to Alice and Eve. I pulled a knife from my boot, cutting the rope that held them, and pulled them to their feet. Eve began to cry. No, I'm not dying yet. I feel horrible, but I can't break. I have to make this seem believable. Alice pulled away, then dusted off her shirt in annoyance. The Hispanic girl turned to me with a bit lip, as if to avoid yelling. She stared at me for a moment before storming out of the control room. I rolled my eyes. She is still Alice. I should have expected her to be like this. I turned to Eve, who still sat on the floor with a terror in her eyes. I offered my hand to her, with a sweet expression that she could not see. The pink-haired girl flinched, but didn't move. I don't know what to do. I don't want to force her to go, but I can't let Ian know who I am. Damn it, Eve. Move it. Alice peered her head back into the room. Yvette, move it. Now. If we don't do what he wants, he may kill Hal too. Eve nodded, with wide eyes pushing off the floor. She slowly stood with a slight wobble, before following Alice outside. A long sigh escaped my lips, muffled by my mask. I'm scaring these two. I just know it. Then again, this whole experience is shocking. My eyes met with Ian's, who stood in a fit. I cleared my throat as a smirk came from below. Ian, you were right to kill me with my back turned. Too bad for you. I know how to play. Silence remained between the three of us, until Alice could no longer take it. She stopped walking down the forgotten highway, below a bridge. The shadows chilled the air. I was thankful for the brief rest. All these layers are not appropriate clothes in July. Who are you? Alice barked at me in a rage. I thought it was obvious. I'm the game maker. I reached in my pocket, pulling out the black cell phone with a cracked screen. None of that bullshit. Who are you really? She snapped. She knows I'm not the cell phone killer? But how? I opened the message screen, typing quickly without saying the message, in the same way Leo had. I am the game maker. No, you're not. I'll ask again. Who the hell are you? How does she know that I'm lying? How can she tell? This isn't good. Alice and Eve don't need to know that I'm still alive. They'll only be disappointed again. An idea popped in my head. Alice knows nothing, or at least very little, about video games, but everyone knows what an NPC is. I typed out my message for them to read. I am a sequencer designed by the game maker. I am only programmed to follow his commands. And what commands are those exactly? She asked smugly. I can't tell if she buys this or not. I'm not permitted to tell any of the players in my database. She thought for a moment, as if trying to decide if this was honest or not. Eve stepped forward, speaking in a soft and wispy tone. Do you know what happened in the game so far? I'm only programmed with the last week. At least this way she can't ask about what happened before I showed up. What were the last player rankings from the night before? Rachel knocked me out and I couldn't see them. Or can you not tell me that either? Eve questioned. Alice grew white as Eve spoke. Does she not know? I cannot. I don't have the heart to be honest. I can't lie to Eve and tell her I'm dead when I'm not. Alice, why don't you just tell me? She moaned like a child. Her face seemed to disappear from what was before. Because it's not important, that's why, Alice snapped with a slight crack in her voice. She's protecting Eve from knowing that I died. Did I actually mean something to her? Fine. I'll just ask Hal and John when we meet up with them, Eve huffed and crossed her arms. I could feel the knot that formed in my throat. The same type of feeling of not wanting to say. I'm sure Alice is feeling the same. I pushed forward, without a word, trying to hide my white face. I can't let them know. I can't. I noticed that Alice stayed behind, with Eve. Walking slowly, I increased my pace until I was running. I can't do this. I can't be around them anymore. I can't tell them when I'm only going to die again. I could hear Eve's screams and cries, as Alice had told her the lie that I've painted, so I ran faster. I'll keep running until I can't run anymore. I ran until I reached the small town. Of course it has to be here. Here of all places. The place where everything started. Maybe I should just forget about his deal and just kill myself now. I mean, I was going to do it anyway. This just makes it easier. I placed the nose of the stolen gun to my head, with shaking hands. I did it. I saved Alice and Eve. That's all I wanted. Am I ready to wake up in the real world again? I whispered to myself. I'm going to do it. I'm going to end this entire sickening experience. I'll end the fear and wake up. I'll wake up from this damn dream. I'll wake up from the nightmare he created. No, I mean, they created. I'll end it for their good. They don't need to know I'm alive. They don't need to know I sold out. I squinted my eyes tightly, until it hurt, but that's where I kept them. I don't want to feel those false feelings. I don't want to feel these ones and zeros as if they were real. I want to know what it feels like to feel again. I don't mean this shitty game, I mean in life. I want to feel the wind in my face, and hear the spell of a new song on the radio. I want the taste of Dad's attempt at spaghetti and touch the soft warm touch of my own skin. I want to feel, to be alive again. And the only way I'm ever going to get that is by dying. I locked the gun, ready to reclaim my senses. A hand touched my shoulder, softly. I turned to see Eve with Alice close behind her. Tears still streamed down her face as her eyes puffed with red. Is it true? She questioned in a sob. I lowered the gun from my head, reaching for the phone. Eve smacked my hand, grabbing my jawline. Is he dead? Is John dead? She screamed with a crack in her voice. Yes or no? I swallowed. I can't answer that. 629-43, she yelled. Is that some type of code or something? Damn it, she is the hacker. She probably knows how to hack my programming. I guess I have to play along. I twitched my eye before closing it tightly. I grabbed my head as if in pain, bending down against my knees, hoping they'd believe me. I flexed my muscles before releasing, standing high with tired eyes. I stood and waited for her reply. Is the blank dead? Eve asked again. I nodded with hesitation. Pain erupted from my shoulder with a cry. I fell against the street with total surprise and shock. My hand clenched on my left shoulder as red began to stain the tan cloak. A small puddle formed below me as I lifted myself from the concrete. I looked up at Alice and Eve, who seemed just as confused as I was. I stood, with sharp cramps running down my arm, followed by the steady, flowing liquid that quickly cut my time away. A shine came from atop the bank, where I first encountered Dan. Black rose from the roofline of the shop. How? Get the fuck away from them, he cursed, loud enough for us to faintly hear. Shit. I ran from my spot, moving in jagged lines with no real rhythm or reason. I can't have him killing me. How am I supposed to go against a sniper? If I was trying to kill Hal, I could hide in town until I could get behind him. But I can't shoot that sociopath. I can't kill my friend. Should I just let him kill me? No, I can't do that. I can't let him have my burden of taking a life. Damn it. Why didn't I shoot Ian when I had the chance? Hal's gonna kill me. Hal, the person I questioned more than anyone in this world, will be the one who ends my life. A shot bounced against the ground, only a few inches from my head. My eyes widened from the close call. What can I do? I haven't finished my contract. I can't die yet. I can't leave them with my pain. What should I do? My eyes fell upon Eve and Alice. They're the reason I came back in the first place. It's 'cause of them that I made this deal. Should I let them decide my fate? If Hal would kill me and they lifted my mask, I'm sure they would blame me. And with the added must-kill commandment, they wouldn't, would they? I can't afford to wonder what if. The cracked cell phone slipped from the hidden pocket to my hand, or I typed in the hope that Hal wouldn't shoot. I typed with my right hand quicker than I thought humanly possible. But then again, maybe I'm not human. At least not anymore. My eyes locked on Eve as I showed her my message, written in the electric font as my body shook from my footsteps. Should I let him kill me? Eve's eyes grew wide as if something had just changed her entire perspective. She began walking towards me with shaking limbs. The world froze. It seemed like only the two of us were left in this hell. I stopped running, as she grew closer and closer to me until we were only inches apart. Her hands rose, slowly landing on both sides of my head, right above where the mask ended. Her thumb slipped under the dark gray fabric, pulling up the cloth carefully. My eye shot over to Hal as his body pushed back from his gun. My gaze widened as I realized what he had done. Why would he take a shot with Eve so close? I pulled Eve in, quickly turning my back towards where Hal was, pushing us to the ground swiftly. A sting shot across the lower half of my right side as I figured the bullet hit me. Eve! Alice screamed. I opened my eyes, looking over at my right side, and the red that only slightly dripped from it. Thank God it only tapped me. I looked over at Eve with a warm expression. Horror took my sight as the crimson filled the front of my coat and Eve's shirt. I sat up quickly to see the true severity of the situation. The dark liquid came quickly, painting Eve a new shade of sadness. Eve! I shouted. Her eyes were faint, with an almost mist coating them, as water danced across the line of falling or not. Please, don't kill me, she whispered lowly. I pulled off the mask with haste and threw it off to the side. The saltiness of my own emotions drizzled upon her growing pale skin. Eve, it's okay. It's me. It's John. I'd never kill you, I called, my voice cracking. John, you're supposed to be dead, she whispered in surprise. It doesn't matter. I'm here, okay? We need to get you to the hospital, okay? I smiled falsely, trying to comfort her. You bastard, Eve squealed, smacking my hand away from her cheek. What? You're working with him, she sobbed, her eyes growing pink as she spoke. You tricked us. No, Eve, I didn't trick you, I lied. Get away. She began fighting with whatever strength she had left. Blood filled her lips, pouring down her skin as she continued to shout and kick to get away. Eve's breath soon became more and more rapid as she cried. Eve, please, I'm trying to help you. I begged her to listen to me. This is your fault, she huffed, falling against the fake earth with a hard thud. I crawled over to her. Tears mixed with her blood and my own that covered the ground. "Eve, please believe me. I didn't come here to hurt you," I explained, hoping she could see the truth. I hate you." Then she fell asleep, and I fell apart.